Hello, this is Kylie from Hello Crafter and welcome to the All Day Christmas Craft Getaway. This is project number 1 of 5 projects that we are doing, and it's your Nordic Star decoration, and I'm showing it to you in situ on my kitchen wall. And it's quite a big star. It measures about just over 40 centimetres in diameter, so it's a lovely decoration. I'm going to go through the supplies that you've got in your kit and show you how to assemble this star. So let's get started. So these are the bits and pieces that you're going to need. In your kit you were given 15 of these pieces. These are pieces of card in cherry cobbler, and they measure 21 centimetres long and 6 centimetres wide, and they've been pre-scored for you halfway lengthways at 3 centimetres, ready for you to fold each one. And you have this template here. This has been created for you with a piece of card that measures 3 centimetres by 21, so it's the exact size of your folded piece. And then I made a mark at 7 centimetres along and then cut from that point down to the bottom corner. That's how I created this template, and put 2 holes which are around about 1/2 centimetre in from the sides. And you've got 2 pieces of wire to connect your points of your star and a little bulldog clip. You'll also need preferably a bone folder if you've got one, to make your creases nice and sharp, a pencil and a ruler, some decent scissors because you'll be cutting through 2 layers of cardstock at once, and a stapler. So the first thing you need to get done is to fold all of your pieces in half. So just go ahead and fold everything up. If you don't have a bone folder, you can just use the edge of your fingernail or even a ruler just to make those edges nice and sharp. So I'll get going with that, and once I've done all my folding, I'll come back and show you the next step. So now that I've got them all folded, I need to take my template, I need to lay that over my folded piece so that this long edge here, this long part of the template, lines up with the fold line. So if I take my folded piece and make sure the folded edge is on the top, and take my template this way and line it up, and then I will just draw my diagonal line where I will need to cut, so that my cut will go right into the corner there, the top corner, and then I can make 2 little dots right in the centre of those holes, just like that. So if I do that on all my 15 pieces and try to make sure the position of the dots is as accurate as possible, this will help later on when we're assembling the star, if all the holes on all the 15 pieces line up as much as possible. So again, I'm just going to get on and do that on all 15, and then we'll start doing some cutting. So you've got your bits all marked up, ready for cutting. Just taking some scissors, you could do this on your trimmer instead. I'm just going to cut away that diagonal line. And I'll just go just on the inside of that pencil line. So I'm effectively chopping off the pencil line so that my finished star won't have marks on it. So that's another tip, just to save you having to get your pencil eraser out and get rid of those lines. So I'll just go ahead and get all of these cut, and I'll be back with the next step. So next we have to get holes where we've made our marks. We need 2 holes in each piece. And the best way I've found to do this is to use a paper piercing tool and a piercing mat or something soft-ish to pierce into, some foam or something. And then I can just quite accurately make 2 holes, make them just a little bit bigger just so that I can get the wire through more easily. Alternatively, you might have some kind of very small hole punch. It has to be fairly small. I've got this crocodile, which is an eyelet setting tool, which also has 2 hole punches on it, and I can just about see where I'm punching here and here where the marks are. But this is very small, so you may not have a hole punch that small. It can't be too big really. Or you can get a nail, a decent sized nail, and a hammer. Make sure you've got a little block of wood or something to hammer onto. With the hammer and nail method, you could actually stack up a few, maybe even 4 or 5 at a time. Make sure everything's all lined up. You can wrap an elastic band or something around everything to keep everything squarely on top of each other, and then use a nail and a hammer to punch through multiple at the same time. That's another way of getting everything so that they're all square. But use whatever you've got to get those holes in. Sure you've got something sharp in your toolbox at home, and just go ahead and get all of those holes done, ready for the next step. So for the next step you need a stapler, and we're going to be stapling all of these together. So if you take 2 of your pieces and line them up so the folded edges are lined up, and then grab the centre pieces there. You want to form like an aeroplane. So you're stapling 2 together in the shape of an aeroplane, basically. So at this stage, it's a good idea to sort of eyeball, make sure your holes are looking like they're lining up as much as they can. And this is where you want to put your staple. Just before it goes into the diagonal, you put a staple just along the bottom edge, probably about 1/2 centimetre up, no more than that, just there. So there's the corner where it starts to go into the diagonal, and your staple is just before that and just above the edge. So I'll do the next one. So grab one of the wings of the aeroplane and take another piece and lay that over the top. So you're like forming the next aeroplane. Line up your holes, line up everything as much as you can. And then put a staple just there. And then keep repeating, so take that wing, line up your piece, make sure everything's lined up as much as you can. Put a staple there. And keep going like that, so everything will be stacked on top of each other. Your staples might not be perfectly in the same place, but get them as close as possible. and just keep going. Okay, so I have stapled all of my 15 pieces together, and you can start to see how they're going to form your star. So you can see there are the staples on this side. So we need to connect them at the bottom now. That's what the holes and the wire are for. So I always find it easier to get your pokey tool or your nail or a large thick needle or something, and just make sure that that's going to go through all of your holes. So once they're all through like that, if I hold everything tight together, take out my pokey tool, hopefully that means I should be able to get my wire through pretty easily. So you may need to do thread through one at a time and just sort of open everything up and just poke through one hole at a time. Give it a go. If you're struggling with this thin wire, then perhaps use a thicker wire, or even a needle and thread would also work. So give it a go. So I've got enough wire here to be able to form a loop, and your loop needs to be probably about 1 centimetre in diameter-ish. So I just stick my finger through and twist the wire a few times around my finger. Take the finger out if you can, and then that will be your loop. And you can chop off the ends, or you can just sort of wrap the ends around if you want to, or you can leave them for now just to check that everything's going to be working. But that should hold your star. I'm just going to leave the ends for now, just in case I have to readjust it if it's not quite big enough, that loop. So you can see you've got plenty of space for your whole star to kind of fit around. So same with the other side. So I'm going to put my pokey tool through everything if I can. Just find its way through them all. Hold everything in place. Take out my pokey tool and in with the wire, and it does come out the other side pretty well. Okay, pop my finger in, twist the wire around my finger. A few times, pull my finger out, and you've got those two loops. So now we just have to open the star out. And so the first time you do this, it's going to feel a little bit stiff, but don't worry, it will eventually come round, and the two end points will meet, as long as this wire loop has been made big enough. So if you're really struggling, just check the size of that loop and just make sure that there's enough space in there for everything to kind of come round and meet each other. So this is where more than two hands would be useful. But I've grabbed these two now together, and grab your bulldog clip and clip those together, and there you've got a perfectly formed star, well, more or less. my stapling was a little bit uneven, so I've got a few that look a little odd, but that's all right. It's a very unique star. And this bulldog clip is also useful for hanging, so you could thread some string or cotton or some more wire through there to hang it on a picture hook or a nail, or you could have a longer string and it could hang from the ceiling. And then it's also useful because at the end of the Christmas season you can just take it off and then pop the clip on like that, and it's easy to store for next year. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Please message me if you have any questions at all, and I'll see you on the next project.